Hello, this is SJ Talks Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you. Janaea Jackson, Derek Jackson's ex-wife, well, the divorce is pending, did an interview on YouTube with Future Wife podcast or something like that. And she was very candid about what happened in the relationship between her and Derek Jackson. And she was talking about some of the things he was doing before the marriage, and it was really a really interesting interview. A lot of people are content creators are dissecting the video and trying to break things down and trying to analyze it and stuff like that. But this is the message that um, I want to convey to Janaea Jackson and a lot of other sisters that's in the same situation. Sis, we've all been there. We've all been there. Not all of us, but a lot of us, women of all races, not just black women, but women of all races. A lot of us have been there. We've been there whether we were single or married, because you can be in the same situation being a single woman. If you've had a long-term relationship with a man, it just didn't happen to lead to marriage. We've all been there, sis. We've all been there. So, I mean, I just don't want her to beat herself up. I don't want her to call herself stupid, because, sis, you're not stupid. You're just a woman that fell in love with a man. You fell in love with a man, and a lot of us been in that, including myself. We've been in that situation where you fall in love with a man. You see the red flags, but you ignore them. You hoping. Us women, we're nurturers. We're nurturers by nature. That's what God put in us. And we have it. We always want to have a spirit of trying to fix a man, trying to fix him, trying to hoping. We're optimistic. When we're in love with a man, we're optimistic. We're hoping that he will change. You know, we hoping that we would be able to love him through whatever the issues that he's dealing with. If he's had some issues due to past traumas or whatever the situation is at, we be thinking we can love him through it. Because I've had that mindset before. I know what I'm talking about because I've had that mindset. We be thinking we can love him through it. We be thinking that we're very optimistic when we're in love with a man. We thinking that we can change him. We thinking that if he falls in love with us, then he'll change for us and all that. And sometimes if we're very spiritual, because sometimes you can be so spiritual to the point to where you lose all sense of reality. Sometimes we get so spiritual. In her case, if a woman is very spiritual, she may think in terms of God will fix him. You know, I just need to hang in there. God will fix him. God will work with him. But the reality of that situation is that God doesn't interfere with freedom of will. He gives us freedom of will, and he doesn't interfere with that. He lets us make our choices. And a lot of those choices have consequences. He'll let us go ahead and make those choices. He doesn't interfere with freedom of will. So if we change, everything starts with us. If we change, we have to want to change. A man has to want to change. If he has a relationship with God, or he's claiming to have a relationship with God, if his relationship with God is really genuine, then he's going to have a strong desire to change and be the best man that he can be. It depending on where he's at in his spiritual walk with God. If his relationship with God is really strong, he's going to do whatever he can, and he really has a desire to please God, then he's going to try to be the best man that he can be. If his relationship with God is not, it's not, I think in that situation there was an unevenly yoking, that maybe she was more spiritual than he was. And so his relationship with God wasn't strong. So he didn't have that strong desire. A man has to have a strong desire to please God. That's why I said if I ever got married, and that's a big if, I want a man that loves God more than he loves me. I want him to love God more than he loves me, because I know if he loves God more than he loves me, he has that strong desire to want to please God. And because he has that strong desire to want to please God, he's going to treat me with love, respect, and kindness. He's going to treat me with that respect. He's going to give me my proper love and respect if he has that strong desire to please God. So his love for God has to be more stronger than his love for me, because he's going to have that strong desire to want to please God. And so it just seems like in that situation it was an unevenly yoking. Maybe she was more spiritual than he was. She had a closer relationship with God than he did, and that's an issue. And he was also dealing with the spirit of lust. He's dealing with the spirit of lust. And when you're dealing with a man that has a spirit of lust, then you're literally fighting a losing battle. You literally are, because if they have that spirit of lust, there really ain't nothing you can do. You can't pray it. You can't pray it away. You can't. If they got that spirit of lust, they have to want to change. Their love for God has to be strong enough for them to want to change and to ask God to help them, because we got to ask God to help us with stuff. You know, when I was, I did a video talking about abstaining, and I'm going to do some more videos about that, celibacy. But before I started abstaining, and I was able to stick with it, because there was times where I attempted it and then failed. Hence my younger son. You have to let God in. You have to let him in, and you have to let him help you with it. Okay? We can't do nothing without God. The Bible says we can't even take one step without God. So you have to allow him in your heart. You have to first of all have the strong desire to want to change and to want to do that. First of all. Second of all, you have to make it up in your mind that you really, really want to do this thing, and you really want to stick with it. Then, second of all, you have to let God in and let him help you with that. A lot of people have that. A lot of people have that issue. They struggle with lust. It is a big issue for a lot of people, men and women. But you have to let God. He wasn't letting God help him with it. He wasn't committed enough to God, and he wasn't committed enough to his wife to allow God to help him with it, and that was the problem. He gave in to that spirit. And I know I did a video saying you got to let a hoe be. You can't turn a hoe into a husband. That's the title. I may link it in the comment section. But in all seriousness, he has to let God help him with that. He's dealing with a spirit of lust, a lust demon. You got to let God help you with it, whether you're a man or a woman. And so, but we've all been there. A lot of us have been there. Not all of us, where we've dealt with husbands or boyfriends or fathers of our children that just couldn't get it together, couldn't stop messing around with women, and we thinking through our love we can change them. Oh God, they have to want to change. God, his hands are tied. He can't do nothing with you unless you want to change. That's the bottom line. He can't do nothing with you. Everything starts with us. Everything starts with us. we have to want to change, because he's not going to force himself on you. He's not going to force himself on anybody. He's not going to force you to do anything, because that's not the way. God doesn't move like that. He gives us a freedom of will. We can make the choice to do this or make the choice to do that. It's either this or that. And it starts with us. And a lot of us have been in situations where, we've seen we did see the red flags, but we ignore them or we dismiss them and said, "Oh well, through my love I can change him," and all that situation. But the bottom line is they have to want to change. And I was listening to the interview, and she was saying how he was doing that, messing around with them different women. She was part of the rotation before they got married, and I was like, wow, well, you shouldn't have married them in the first place, sis. And like I said, she probably was hoping that he would change. And a lot of us have been in that. A lot of us, I was guilty of that. Hoping that maybe the man will change, and hoping that through my love I can love him enough to where and maybe he fall in love with me, then he'll change for me. And nah, it typically 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work like that. God has to change them, and they have to want that change. Because we've all, and to Danae, I don't want her to feel bad. I don't want her to feel stupid. I don't want her to beat herself up. The only thing you can do, sis, is hold your head up high. Keep that relationship. She has a strong relationship with God, and that's beautiful. Keep that relationship with God. Grow your relationship with God. And hold your head up high. It doesn't matter what people are saying on social media. Hold your head up high. And you're going to get through this. She was looking fabulous in the interview. She was looking beautiful in the interview. You're going to get through this. Focus on your babies. Focus on your babies, because they need a healthy mom. They need a mentally and spiritually healthy mom. They need that. So focus on being better for your babies. And you're going to get through this. A lot of us have already been there. I've been there, done that. So I understand where she's coming from, but she's going to get through it. I know when you're going through a broken heart, it feels like the world done came to an end. I know when I dealt with my broken heart, I felt like the world was coming to an end. I felt like, I felt my world was coming to. I felt like my world was coming to an end. You lose all sense of hope, and it shakes you to the core. It just breaks you down to the core. But as they say, this too shall pass. The Bible say this too shall pass. It will pass. Time is a healer, and time heals all wounds. And you will get past it. And each day you're going to get stronger and stronger. You're going to have times where you're going to think about it, you're going to cry, But then there's going to be that one day where you're going to cry for the last time. And then after that, you ain't going to cry no more. And the important thing is, because he's the father of your children, is to try not to have any bitterness. It's going to be a process, because grief, there's different stages of grief. We have the different stages of grief. And so she's going to go through all those stages, and there's going to be times where she's going to be angry. And there are going to be times where you're going to be angry with yourself. I know what I'm talking about. I went through all that. You're going to call yourself stupid. I mean, when my situation with my youngest son, Dad, I beat myself up about that situation for so many years. I called myself stupid over and over. The black men always hollering how black women don't take accountability. I overtook accountability in that situation. I called myself, you guys have no idea how many times I called myself stupid in that situation. I beat myself up for so many years. And it took a long time for me to get to a place to where I wasn't beating myself up about it anymore. You know, where I wasn't beating myself. And sometimes I do have, sometimes I do have moments to where, where I kind of blame myself, here and there. But for the most part, I don't beat myself up about it. It is what it is. What's been done has been done. The thing is, when we make mistakes in life, and sometimes we make some doozies and they affect other people. And I think those are the hardest mistakes to get past. But the thing is, we have God's grace. I just thank God that He gives us grace. So if He gives us grace, we got to give ourselves grace. And the important thing is we have to learn from our mistakes. We have to learn because when we know better, like Oprah always says all the time, when we know better, we do better. See, I learned from all those experiences. I've had some other experiences. I've learned from all those experiences. So when I knew better, I could do better. See, when you know better, you can do better. And so you learn it. That's like a lot of times I look at the young ladies and I say, well, they going through their learning. I just simply say they're going through their learning experience. Because that's what it all boils down to. That's what it is. It's a learning experience. But Danae, you're gonna be okay, sis. You're gonna be fine. I'm rooting for you, girl. I'm rooting for you, lady. You're gonna get through this. He humiliated her all over the place, all over the United States, because he has a social media platform, and he's wind up to turn out to be a huge fraud. But you're gonna get through this, sis. And a lot of black women, when they did the interview where she had the bonnet on, and I did a video talking about how they shouldn't be bashing her and all that kind of stuff. Now a lot of sisters are starting to come back and say, "Oh, I'm being apologetic, say I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I judged her. I didn't know that situation was like that." And well, you knew at the time he cheated on her, and so that a lot of them are coming back, apologizing and everything after her interview. It was a very good interview, but that's the one of the main message that I wanted to convey to Danae is that don't feel bad, sis. We've all been there. And just let God keep working with you. Keep drawing that close relationship with Him, and let Him heal your heart. We gotta let God heal our heart. We can't do nothing on our own. We have to let Him heal us. So whatever it is that we're dealing with, we have to let Him heal us. We have to open up and let Him in, and we let Him in our heart and let Him work with us. He will help us to heal. He will help us to heal. So let's just continue to let God help you, sis. Keep continuing because your relationship that you have with God is beautiful. It's beautiful. Let Him keep working with you. And the next time, you're going to be wiser. You're going to come out of this wiser. I know when I was in my situation, I came out a much wiser woman. And that's why I'm able to come on here and talk about different things, addressing the single moms and stuff like that, because a lot of times I'm speaking from experience. And I came out of those situations a lot wiser. And so that she's going to have an awesome ministry. She's going to have an awesome testimony. She's going to be an awesome testimony to a lot of women that are going through the same thing. There's a lot of women that are going through the exact same thing that she's going through. And she's going to be an awesome testimony. Only thing I can say is let God use you. Because I allow Him to use me on my platform to minister to the single moms and talk to the single moms, because I have been there and done that. So sometimes God allows us to go through things just so we can be a testimony to others that are going through the same thing. Because I know when I worked at the daycare, and I'm gonna wrap this up in a minute. But I know when I worked in the daycare, there was a young lady there that one of my parents, she had a son in my classroom, and we were talking to her in the conference room, and she kind of broke down and started crying and said, his father wasn't there like he should have been, and all this kind of stuff. And she had two boys. She was a single mom, and I just at that moment, I just started talking to her, and I said, I understand how you feel. I've been through the same thing. I'm going through the same thing with my son, son's father, and I understand where how you feel and what you're going through, and just letting her know it's gonna be all right, and giving her encouragement. And it was just at that moment where I realized I was in the right place at the right time. I said, now I know I'm in the right place at the right time. That I was able to talk to her at that moment. So that was just a beautiful thing to me. I was thinking about that the other day and how I was able to really talk to her. And so sometimes God will allow us to go through certain things. Sometimes he won't. Sometimes he'll give you the strength to endure the trial. He won't take the trial away. He'll just give you the strength to endure it. You're still going to be going through it, but he's just going to give you the strength to endure it. He gave me the strength to endure single motherhood. And I prayed the whole while I was in it for a husband. I prayed the whole 9 yards. Um, and it was really tough on all levels. But God helped me to endure it. He gave me endurance, and he helped me to endure it. And so that's the beautiful thing about that. He may not take away the trial, but he's going to give you the strength to endure it. And so now she's unfortunately going to be a single mom. And just hold on to God, Danae. Just keep holding on to God, and just keep letting him help you. Keep letting him help you to endure. Focus on those beautiful babies. You're going to be all right, sis. And try not to harbor any bitterness. I know it's easier said than done. But he, at the end of the day, he's still the father of your children. So you got to um, just just pray and ask God to help you with it. Because it's going to be hard. It ain't going to be easy. But for the children's sake, you have to do what is best for the children's sake. You know, you guys going to have to get along and co-parent the best way you can for the children's sake. And it's not good for the children to watch you guys argue and all that. Of course, that's another video for another time. But ask God to help you on all levels. Ask him to help you. And I know you will, because, you have a strong relationship with him, and I can see that in her. But that's what I wanted to say on that situation. Yeah, Danae. A lot of us have been there, Danae. But you're going to be all right, sis. Don't beat yourself up about it. We've all been there. We've all been at a place to where we didn't know our worth. But at some point, you're gonna learn your worth, and we learn our worth through God, through drawing that closer relationship with God. So in time, you will know your worth in time, and you're gonna get better and better. That's not an overnight process. It takes a long time. It took a long time for me to get to a place to where I can actually fully know my worth. And then that I was able to um, make better choices. I was able to abstain and stick with it, and I was able to make better choices. And so it's a beautiful thing. Once you learn your worth, it's worth its weight in gold. So hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Danae Jackson situation. That's what I just wanted to say with Danae. Yes, sis, it's gonna be all right. You gonna get through this. A lot of us have been there. We've been there. We've done that, and we understand. But you're gonna You're going to get through this, sis. All right. Till the next video, be blessed.